Varadero is Cuba's dream destination. Crystal clear waters, white sand, it's a paradise to relax. Unfortunately, the news are full of stories of tourists who had to be displaced because hotels shut down due to Cuba's electricity crisis. You hear about food shortages, blackouts, and the worst humanitarian crisis Cuba has ever been through. And yet, some tourists are still coming and living their best life. The question is, can you really still enjoy a vacation in Cuba? Varadero is actually a part on the coast of Cuba that was originally made to attract tourists. It's full of hotels, and it is the place where all-inclusive tourists would usually go to. The town of Varadero seems to be a bit dead, to be honest. There aren't that many people outside. There are a handful of tourists. You see every now and again there are a few Cubans here. You see a few cars passing by this main road here. But really there aren't a lot of people here right now. And that's probably also because of the news. Like, not many tourists come to Cuba currently. And you notice in the hotels. Our hotel, for example, is quite empty as well. There are hardly guests. And one thing that I would recommend you is to not get the all-inclusive package. I think most of the hotels here probably have the all-inclusive where you have breakfast, lunch and dinner included. However, if you want to support locals, it is always better to, eat outside in local restaurants. Because also what we've heard, most of the hotels here, or actually all of the hotels here, are from the government. So the only person winning if you book all-inclusive is the government, not the people that are working there. Varadero is not like anything else that I had seen of Cuba. It feels more like the polished side of Cuba, and it is very obvious that it is definitely made for tourists. A little fun fact to mention, all of the signs here are also written in Cyrillic, in Russian. I suppose that's because a lot of Russian tourists came here, used to come here, or maybe they still come here, I don't know. But yeah, they are prepared for all of them. Walking around Varadero, you can also notice a huge difference to other places we've seen in Cuba so far. For example, the road is completely fine. It looks quite new and there aren't holes in there. We've seen holes in roads along the way. I don't want to drive my car there, to be honest. But here everything is fine. The houses are painted beautifully. Everything looks very well maintained. Like, completely the opposite from everything we've seen so far in Cuba. The streets look nice, of course, and it's important that a place that was made for tourists looks like that. But it also felt like the government tries to hide Cuba's truth from tourists. We're now going to a restaurant, and there are a lot of restaurants here in Varadero. You will find so many of them. Most places are made for tourists. You won't see local people there, and there's a reason behind it, because they are extremely expensive. For me personally, it's okay in places like Cuba to pay a bit more as a tourist. It's fine to pay like 20–30% more, but in these places, honestly, this is they are just trying to rip you off completely. And I don't know the reason behind it. But yesterday we went to a small local restaurant with high quality food. It was absolutely delicious. They had a variety of dishes, their local dishes, and it was so good. The service was amazing. The people there were super kind. We paid $4 for 2 dishes, which is very affordable, obviously. But in those other restaurants that are made for tourists, you would pay like $15 to $20. That's like 400% more than you would pay in local places. And honestly, that is so exaggerated. Like, it isn't. I don't even get it. I don't get the reason behind it. And yeah, to be honest, I'm not willing to pay for the same thing such an exaggerated price. That's just not okay, in my opinion. So we ordered ropa vieja, which is the most typical plate here in Cuba. It's delicious. It comes with rice. You can either have plain white rice or, as I chose it, with red beans. And then there's some meat, there is fried plantain, there is a little bit of salad, and I think this is squash. And then I also ordered a little bit of soup here with beans, which is also very good. And yeah, let's give it a try. This dish is definitely something you have to try in Cuba. It is so good. The meat is super juicy. I like it a lot. So the bill today was 1,180 Cuban pesos for 2 dishes, like for 2 people, for everything we ate. That's not even $3. So super affordable. But at these places you can also leave a nice tip. People will appreciate it a lot, and the quality of their food also really deserves it. It was very good. We will now see if we can find some dessert here in Varadero and walk a little bit through the town. We found the ice cream store and we have 2 scoops of strawberry ice cream and we paid 100 for 2 scoops. So also really nothing to complain about the price here. Yesterday we had chocolate and coconut. The coconut ice cream was extremely good. Unfortunately today they don't have it anymore. They only had strawberry. And strawberry is also very good. I think coconut will stay my favorite. If you come here and you find the coconut ice cream, I can only recommend that one, but strawberry is also very good. Next thing on our list to try is the piña colada, which is very typical for here, and it's also, again, extremely affordable. We paid 200 Cuban pesos for this, and it's really good. It tastes a lot like coconut. I like it a lot. Coconut and piña, obviously. I like it a lot. However, little fun fact, yesterday we were looking desperately for water. You can find drinks here everywhere. You can find piña colada every, 200 meters. Basically, you can find things with alcohol, Coca-Cola, whatever you are looking for. But water is a huge challenge. We were looking for a bottle of water and we asked in so many places, no one had it. And once we found it finally, after a long search, we paid 2,200 pesos for a bottle of 1.5 liter. 2,100 pesos. Normally in La Habana, for example, we paid 300 pesos for the water. I don't know what exactly is the problem here with water bottles, but it's freaking expensive. And this piña colada, like drinks with alcohol, are usually the most expensive things, right? But no, here it's water. It's incredible. To move around Varadero, there are several transport options you can take. You can either just walk through the city. However, if you want to do long distances, like Varadero is really a long area, so you might need to take a transport at some point. So there are options you can take. There is a taxi, which is the most expensive option. There are so-called coco taxis, which are like small electric tricycles that you can take. More affordable already. And then there is the third option, which is a horse. You can take a carriage with a horse as well. And then there are other transport options, but they aren't available for tourists. So there are some options that really are only for local people and they won't let you on their ride. If a local would take you on their car, for example, they would probably get fined. So there's no way to do that. We stayed in a 3-star hotel. And now, please don't get me wrong, I was satisfied with what we had, but considering the price and comparing it to what you get, it seemed completely overpriced. The rooms are clean but old. The hotel is old. The breakfast was good, but there wasn't much choice. Yes, I did have a great time. I just felt like elsewhere I could have gotten much more for the same money. We are now walking towards the beach of our hotel, and there's also a pool at our hotel, but honestly, why would you go to a pool if you have such a stunning view right in front of the hotel? It is beautiful. This is where we will enjoy a few hours now. One thing you also need to know, by the way, is that this is one of the reasons why so many people want to visit Cuba. It is a country with so much potential. There is so much beauty here in this country. It only needs a lot of maintenance out of Varadero. Tourism is one of the biggest income sources for the country. And it is also probably one of the only income sources for international currencies. Since Cuba is cut off due to the embargo of the United States, it is cut off from international trades. There's no way to earn any international currencies. But with tourism, it's quite different because everything you do here as a tourist will be paid either in euros or US dollars. Obviously, it's a way to support the government, and you don't really know what the government is doing with your money, which is why I would always recommend you to look out for homestays, for example. They are called casas particulares here in Cuba. These are local people that offer you a room. We did that a lot during our trip, and we always had amazing stays, very kind hosts. They are affordable as well, and also located quite central in the cities. This area here is beautiful. The entire beach area is like that, with blue water, white sand, and there are places where you can lay down, There are chairs here on the beaches. There is a bit of shade for the people who want to enjoy the beach. It is absolutely stunning, and I totally understand why they chose this area, Varadero, to become the tourist paradise of Cuba. It was a smart choice, however. I just wish that more Cubans would be able to experience the beauty of their country. So we've spent a wonderful day here on this beautiful beach, and in general we've spent a wonderful time in Cuba. We've seen quite a lot of the country. We came here with a lot of uncertainty due to all the news that Cuba is basically shut down, that nothing works anymore, and so on and so forth. We weren't sure if we could do the trips we had planned, but everything worked out. The thing here in Cuba is that the problems that you see in the news, they do exist. However, if you have the money, you can still pay for things like gasoline, taxis, and so on and so forth, and move around and do your tours as you plan to do them. Things are more expensive here in Cuba, that's for sure, and especially for the people. Like, if you haven't seen this video here before, make sure to watch it, because the people of Cuba are struggling a lot, and they are suffering a lot under all these restrictions and all these problems economically, financially. It's absolutely sad to see that, to be honest. But then I was also thinking one thing just now, because when we were in Havana, there was a driver who told us that the government is investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in luxury hotels, also in Havana. Not only here in Varadero, but also in La Habana. And right now, I mean, look around. We are the only ones here on this beach right now. There's not much tourism going on, and I believe the return on investment is probably extremely low right now. So I can't help but wonder, why is the government investing all of this money into tourism and not in its own people, in the infrastructure of its own cities, not touristic places like this here? I think that's incredibly sad, and it shouldn't be like that. Your own people should always come first. But here in Cuba, unfortunately, it seems to be like tourists value more than Cuban people, actually, and it definitely shouldn't be like that. However, if you want to come here, you can definitely do that, and you can definitely support Cuban people. Like, always try to look out for local places to stay in, for local restaurants, leave a tip if the food was good, for example. Be kind. People here are extremely kind, welcoming. They never lose their smile despite all these struggles going on right now. So if you want to come, do so and support Cuban people.